If you're running OpenClaw, there's a good chance that you're burning money right now without realizing it. By default, everything goes to your primary model. Heartbeat checks, Opus. Quick calendar lookup, Opus. Sub-agents doing parallel work, all Opus. Opus is a great model, but using it for a heartbeat is like hiring a lawyer to check your mailbox. It does work, but it makes no financial sense. In this video, I'll show you how to cut costs by 50 to 80% with one config change without losing quality on the tasks that matter. Let's go save some money. OpenClaw sends everything to one model by default, and that's the problem. Heartbeats are periodic "are you still there" checks sent every 30 minutes. They use your primary model. Sub-agents spawn when your main agent does parallel work. Each one uses the primary model. Simple queries, like what's on my calendar, get routed to the same model you use for complex coding. And also there's no fallback. When Anthropic's API hits a rate limit, your agent stops. No automatic switch to OpenAI or anything else. So you're paying premium prices for simple tasks, and you have no fallback when things break. The fix is model tiering. Different models for different tasks based on what each one needs. Complex reasoning like architecture decisions or multi-file refactoring needs a frontier model, Opus or GPT 5.2. They are expensive, but they're worth it for hard tasks. Daily work like code generation, research, or content creation works fine on a mid-tier model like Sonnet or DeepSeek R1. R1 costs 90% less than Opus or 80% less than GPT 5.2 for a similar reasoning quality. Simple tasks like heartbeats, quick lookups, classification should use the cheapest model that works. Gemini Flash-Lite is 50 cents per million tokens. DeepSeek version 3.2 is 53 cents. That's 60 times cheaper than Opus. Here's a comparison of some of the models. There are many more, but Opus is at the very top or bottom, depending how you look at it, $30 per million tokens. Gemini 2.5 Flash-Lite, 50. There are models even cheaper than that, and there is a lot in between. For a heartbeat, there's no quality difference. The cheap model works fine, as well as Opus. Cheap models are also faster. Gemini 3 Flash runs at about 250 tokens per second. Opus runs at around 50. So you get answers faster and pay 60 times less. There are two ways to implement this. First is manual configuration, where you set which model handles which task. More control, but a little bit more setup. Or you can use OpenRouter's auto router. You can set this as your model and it then routes based on prompt complexity. Simple prompts go to cheap models, complex ones go to capable models. Less control, but no configuration. I'll show you the manual approach where you see what happens and you make the decisions. Most configs look like this. One model, everything goes there. Heartbeats, sub-agents, simple lookups, all Opus, all expensive. And here's the optimized version. You can copy it from description. Two sections matter most here. First is heartbeat configuration. Instead of Opus at $30, heartbeats use Gemini 2.5 Flash-Lite at 50 cents per million tokens. Every 30 minutes, your agent checks in for almost nothing. And the second subsection is sub-agents. When your main agent spawns workers, they use DeepSeek R1 at $2.74 per million tokens. That's 10 times cheaper than Opus with solid reasoning. And your main tasks still hit Opus. The cheap models only handle the stuff that doesn't need intelligence, like heartbeats and background checks. The fallback chain also matters. And notice that the first fallback is not Sonnet, it's GPT 5.2. Because if Anthropic is rate limited, all their models, including Sonnet, might be slow. Falling back to a different provider keeps you running. You can also define vision tasks models, but that's up to you if you want to go as deep. And the config file goes in your home directory, .openclaw, openclaw.json. Edit this config file, save, restart, and you're done. There's additional section here for defining aliases so that you don't need to write the whole model name every time you want to switch to Opus or Sonnet. So you define Opus, Sonnet, Flash, or DS for DeepSeek. Once you have the config ready and the gateway is restarted, you can switch your models on the fly. Model Sonnet, and you're switching to this one, model Opus, to switch back to your default one, or models to see which providers you have available. Anthropic, 3 models, Google, OpenAI, and 1 for OpenRouter. This is good for quick cost control. When you're working on something complex, stay on Opus. If it's a quick question about the weather or about finding a file quickly and reading it, then you can switch to Sonnet or DeepSeek or Gemini Flash. And the aliases in the config, Opus, Sonnet, Flash, is what you type after /model, easier than typing the full model path. Okay, so let's talk about savings now. I built a calculator so you can see what you would save with your usage. It's at calculator.vlvt.sh. The link is in the description. And there are a few starting scenarios here. First is the light user, where you're just getting started, 24 heartbeats once every hour, 20 sub-agent tasks per day, and 10 queries per day in general. With this kind of usage, if you are using API and sending everything to Opus on Anthropic, you would spend about $200 per month on API costs. With Gemini 2.5 Flash-Lite as the heartbeat model and DeepSeek as your sub-agent, you are paying 65% less, about $70. A power user, probably most of you, 48 heartbeats per day, once every 30 minutes, 100 sub-agents per day, and 50 queries. With all Opus would be $943, after $347, so a saving of about $600 per month. As a heavy user with multiple agents, lots of parallel work, before it's almost 3,000, after it's 1,000, again 62% less, 1,700 savings. You can play with the models here for the primary model, for heartbeat models and sub-agent. And when you select something that you are fine with, then you can scroll down and see that in the config. So you can either copy the whole config or copy specific sections and add it to your openclaw.json file. One important question: why not use one of the free models available, like for example Kimi K2.5 on NVIDIA or a DeepSeek's free tier on OpenRouter? There are 3 reasons. First is that free tiers have aggressive rate limits. When you hit them mid-task, your agent just stops. Second is that free tiers also usually are quite slow. Lots of people use them. And 3, they can disappear without notice at any moment, and provider can shut down the free tier tomorrow and you can't do anything about it. So that's why I don't use free models. But the next best thing is models that are almost free, like 40, 50 cents per million tokens. Gemini Flash-Lite, DeepSeek, GLM47, another good one. They cost almost nothing, but they are good, they are reliable, and they won't be shut down without notice tomorrow. For production work, for an agent that I want to rely on 24/7, this reliability is worth pennies per million tokens, a no-brainer for me. As usually, all links in the description, the calculator, the config, everything you need. Plug in your numbers and see how much less you could be paying. Subscribe if you want more practical AI content, and go save some money without losing any quality.